Okay. By the way, before I move on, I forgot to mention at the bottom of page one is the word piquancy. He says babies have a certain piquancy and charm. Piquancy, I had to look it up because the reason I didn't tell you what it meant when I was going over it was because I forgot what it meant. So I looked it up in the dictionary. Yes, even your professor looks words up in the dictionary. It's a very valuable skill. Piquancy is being exciting. So he says babies have excitement and charm. And that adults have that too if they don't forget that they have it. Okay, so let's take a look at the next paragraph here. So Emerson says he wants, actually, let's stay on this paragraph. This is a really important, complicated paragraph. So he says, the nonchalance of boys who are sure of dinner, right? Nonchalance, it's like confidence. Like you're not worried, you don't have any anxiety, you're not worried about anything. Why are you not worried? Because you're powerful and you're in charge, just like a lord. So he says the nonchalance of boys who are sure of a dinner, right? Meaning you're confident and you're not worried about anything because you know where your dinner's coming from. Your mom serves you. And would disdain as much as a lord to do or say aught to conciliate one, right? So just like the lord of a castle, boys are like young boys are gonna do their own thing, and they're not gonna kiss ass or try to make people feel better. They're just gonna go their own way. He says that's a healthy attitude of human nature, but the man is, meaning the adult, is clapped into jail by his consciousness. So he says boys are like lords in castles because they're confident and they don't kiss ass. But the man, the adult, is clapped into jail by his consciousness. How are you clapped into jail by your consciousness? You're clapped into jail by your consciousness because consciousness is thinking. Unconsciousness is when you don't think anymore. If you get punched in the head, you're knocked unconscious. Unconscious. If you get hit in the head and you're knocked unconscious, that means you're not thinking anymore. He says that one of the things that makes young people strong is that they're confident, they don't care what other people think, but that when people grow up suddenly, you get clapped into jail by your consciousness. Why? Consciousness is thinking. He says people essentially get trapped they get jailed by thinking too much. Like you're trapped in your own mind. You're jailed by your mind. He says overthinking. Because he says the thing about lords and young boys is that they just do whatever they want to do and they don't really think about it too hard. They're just like, whatever, I'm doing this, and they just do it. But that as you get older, you start thinking about it, worrying about it, anxiety. Your brain gives you all of these things to worry about, and then you don't do anything. I'm sure you have, I'll give you a simple example of this happening to me. I used to bicycle around the city. I used to bicycle 100 miles a week for like 7 years. I bicycled 100 miles a week all around New York City. And I was, again, like a young boy or a lord. I was zipping around the city, having fun and doing awesome things. Then I got hit by a car. And now it's like, I can remember getting hit by a car and getting my shoulder broken and being in the hospital. And so I'm like, do I really want to do that again? Like, I got really wounded. I got hurt. Like, this is not safe. That's so crazy that I ever did that. Now to me, it looks unsafe to be riding around New York City on a bicycle. Why? Because I've started thinking about it in my head. And Emerson would say that's weakness. That what I should aim to be like is like a young boy or a lord that doesn't give a shit about anything. I'm just going to, you want to ride your bicycle and zip around New York City? Do it. But Emerson would say that I'm clapped into jail by my consciousness. Thinking has got me trapped. Because as an adult, a lot of older people, they're cautious, they're careful because they worry about shit. Young boys and lords and castles don't worry about anything. They just do whatever they want to do, according to. And I know not every lord and not every boy, but this is Emerson's idea: is a certain kind of lord and a certain kind of boy he sees as representative. That they just do what they want to do. They don't overthink it. You ever gone out to like a lake or a river and you'll see like teenagers and they'll like jump off a cliff into the water? I see young people doing this. I went on a raft thing on a river, and these kids were just like going up to this cliff, and they were just like jumping off into the water, and it looked amazing. But like, holy shit, if I got up there, my consciousness would be thinking, are there rocks down there? Are you gonna fall on the rock? Are you gonna break an arm falling on that rock? And I wouldn't do it. So Emerson's point is we got to be young like lords and these young boys, which he imagines as being these overly confident sort of people. We got to act like that. That's Emerson's idea. Again, I'm sure you can see the good and the bad to this situation. Because on the one hand, if you live your life with confidence, probably you're going to do a lot of cool, exciting things. right? But also, if you completely ignore other people and ignore worry and just do whatever you want, you might also get very seriously injured or killed. So, right, everything in Emerson has this kind of double side, but a lot of people don't see that it has a dark side. A lot of people are just like, live your life with confidence, don't care about anything, never worry about anything ever, live your life to the fullest, don't listen to other people. You are the center of your own universe, you only got one life to live, you got to live it to the full. It sounds good, but it can get you in trouble because that can lead you to doing incredibly stupid and or dangerous things. And it also it makes it very hard to care about other people. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's take a look at, let's keep going. Next paragraph here. All right, so he says, as soon as he has once acted or spoken with éclat, éclat is like with style and confidence. As soon as he has once acted or spoken with éclat, he is a committed person, watched by the sympathy or the hatred of hundreds, whose affections must now enter into his account. So he talks about the dangers, like you can get a certain amount of power, but then you're watched by people. And are you going to worry about those people? Are you going to take into account their affections, their hatred, and their sympathy? Again, think about like if you're worried about your Instagram followers and how they're going to react, that's going to cause you to worry about what you're going to put online. Actually, a good example of this kind of thing is that, a person might make really great music when they're just making the music for themselves, but then when they become famous, suddenly there's all these people reviewing their music online. Well, if you start caring what those people think and trying to make your music make those people happy, suddenly you're not making the music for yourself anymore, you're making it for them. And if you're making it for them, it's like you're no longer your own star. They are your star, and your planet is revolving around them. And Emerson says you should be revolving around yourself. You should be your own star. You should be still and in the center, and everybody should revolve around you. But if you're a musician and you start making music for yourself, then you're doing it the right Emerson way. But if you make your music, if you start reading reviews on the internet and you start changing what you do because of what you're reading, now you're not revolving around yourself anymore. You're revolving around them. He says, once that happens, there is no Lethe for this. Lethe. I never remember how to pronounce that word. Lethe. It's a famous river from mythology. I think it may be mentioned in Plato. It's a river in mythology that makes you forgetful. So he says this sentence here, there is no Lethe for this. Literally, it just means there's no way to forget this. Like once you start thinking and worrying about what other people want from you, there's no way to stop. You can't forget because it's hard. If you make your music for yourself. And you may make great music and be really happy. And ironically, maybe the thing that got you popular was not caring what other people thought, and that caused you to make your best music. But then when you start listening to other people, now you're trying to make music for them. And he says it's hard. It's very hard to go back to the way you did things before. Like when you were not famous and you were making music just for you and your music came out awesome, once you start worrying what other people think, how do you stop? There's no Lethe for this, meaning there's no way to forget. It's a very difficult thing to forget. Okay, cool. That he could pass again into his neutrality, right? Don't you wish you could forget about other people and just treat them like they're neutral? Who can thus avoid all pledges, and having thus observe again from the same unaffected, unbiased, unbribable, unaffrighted innocence must always be formidable. Meaning, if you can get back to where you were before, meaning you're unaffected by other people, you're unbiased, you're just doing your own thing, you're not listening to other people. Unbribable, people can't make you do what they want. Unaffrighted, you're not scared. If you can return to that state of perfect innocence, you're going to be a very powerful person. But if you start following the crowd, right? If you're watched with the sympathy or the hatred of hundreds whose affection must now enter into his account, meaning if you care about the sympathy or hatred of all your fans, now you're going to be screwed up. And how are you going to get back to the way you were before, which is unaffected by other people? You're not unbiased, unbribable, where people can't control you, unaffrighted, so people can't scare you. And if you can just do your own thing, you will always be powerful. And that's Emerson's central idea, is that listening to other people, overthinking, worrying is going to screw you up. And what you need to do is just follow yourself and be confident. All right, pick it up in the next video.